How many of you have heard of genius coaching before? 1, 2. Good, thank you. Nobody else? Perfect. What we do in a nutshell is we work with highly intelligent misfits and show them their brightness and giftedness inside and outside the classroom. Because if giftedness is outside the classroom, they are lost in school. Anyway. And why we do this and how we do this is a whole different story I don't want to talk about today a lot. But what I will talk about it is you as teacher coaches in the classroom. I will tell you a little bit more about my background later, but before we do that, I think we should do an exercise. How many of you are familiar with Brain Gym?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So the major important Brain Gym exercise is crosswalk. Okay. So let's get up for a moment and do crosswalk. Crosswalk is something like this. Okay? And I show you a second walk, which is called puppet walk. Left, left, right, right. Okay? Do puppet walk. Now go back to crosswalk. Oops.
Yeah. They said that would be unilateral.
Back to puppet walk.
Yeah.
Back to puppet walk. Yeah. Good. Back to crosswalk. Crosswalk, crosswalk. Uh-huh. How many of you had to think for a moment? Thank you for being honest. Do you know what that means? What we test. Using your right hand, you stimulate the left brain. Left leg is connected to your right brain. When you do this move and you cross the midline of your body, the brain crosses the midline itself as well. Which means you connect left and right brain by doing crosswalk. Okay? Please do so with your children every morning to switch them on literally. Because all gifted kids do one thing very quickly and very effectively, to switch off their brains. When they're bored or when they're overwhelmed or just frustrated or any other emotions you can name.
Aren't those coping mechanisms?
Yes, but that's called survival. They're not supposed to survive in your classroom. They're supposed to learn. So, why is teacher coach such an important topic? I have been teaching myself for 17 years in Germany and in Brazil. 10 years in Germany, 7 years in Brazil. So I saw a lot high school teacher biology and chemistry, so I know a lot of classroom experience, and I know sometimes it can be challenging. And it's not the intellectual potential that's challenging, it is the behavior. True? If our students will all be nice and sitting back and relaxing and interact with you as they're supposed to do, it would be so easy. Just unfortunately it's not real. That's why this is on top. My friend who wrote our book, it's extremely important to know and feel who you are, otherwise you try hard to fix who you are not. Everything you do to help your students to become self-aware, and that's in any age group, helps you to have a fluent interaction in your classroom. The more the kid knows about themselves, the easier it is to be with. Same thing is true for adults. And you will see where we go with this, because that's a very important start. Here's the dilemma. You know about this from the media. More bright children are born than ever before in human history because they are less concerned with survival than ever in human history. We have pretty safe human conditions in this environment. So child mortality is an all-time low. More bright children actually make it. That's the first topic in your handout, by the way. They grow up with fast-paced mental stimulation. Baby Einstein. Nobody grew up with Baby Einstein in the previous generation. Guess what that means? We had a few boring toys dangling above our heads in the crib. They see videos all day long. Do you see what that does for their brains? High-speed brain development from day one. Are you surprised when these kids teach themselves how to read and write before they go to school? Just to entertain themselves. Then they enter school, guess what?
They're bored.
You said it. No surprise. So they challenge conventional education. Of course they do. Everything is too slow and too boring. You show me the Baby Einsteins, now what? What's the next you're going to show me? And then they show behavior challenges, not intellectual challenges.
Coping mechanisms.
Yes, because behavior is body language. And that's what we face over and over again. I mean, you would have an answer to this question more than I do, probably. How many times do they drive you up the wall, as teachers and as parents, or as friends of parents who have kids like that? They are in your face. And when they mean it, they want it now. So, there's a flip side. And of course, they know it all already, especially when they grow up into teenage years. They know it all. They don't take any advice from you. So, big question, if you face ever these challenges, then what? There must be a way, and there is. Actually, the way is easier than what you ever learned so far. We need to interact with them on a behavior level. Talking to them does not cut anything. You can be the best well-meaning parent or teacher in the planet. If they don't listen to you, who cares what you say? And that's where the big frustration begins. Nobody listens to me ever. Because all of these check marks is true, but here's the newness in this. How can you effectively set boundaries without screaming and yelling and get mutual respect both ways? Wouldn't that be nice? All of this happens, by the way, on a behavior level. Not reading books about that. Doesn't cut it. Because you have enough literature, there's enough on the websites written. But how to actually do it is a whole different game. And this is the game I want to introduce you today. Inspiring role model for gifted children on a daily basis. They just like you because you walk the talk. You might as well admit that you're gifted yourself. How is that for a change? That makes you actually human. You understand what they go through, the super sensitivity and all the whole list. Because that's the reason why you're a gifted teacher. I think so. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to share that. How many of you like to be gifted teachers? Okay, so there's a reason behind it. Chances are you're bright and smart yourself. How to be a trusted advisor for bright children and their parents. Because let's face it, you're the education professional. Parents may or may not be prepared for their job. You went through all your training to be a specialist. If you take on this role, parents come to you long after the child already left school because they appreciate you personally. This is where I would like to go with you. You don't have disciplinary issues anymore in this role. They cannot wait to talk to you. Sounds like Mission Impossible? It is very possible. So, why am I so excited about what I'm doing? You should do something for me. Okay. Yes, I went through it myself, high school teacher first. Then I taught in Brazil for 7 years for the German government as an educational consultant. Then I came back, did part-time again, and then I couldn't hold myself back any longer because I saw these thousands and thousands of bright and bored children in my own classrooms and in other classrooms. Then I decided it's time to do something about it. That's when I started, first in Germany. I called it Fit for Learning. And then over here as educational consulting first, and then as Genius Coaching. I'm also a Master Certified Coach with the International Coach Federation, which means professional coaches. They go all the way and can coach corporations and executives as well. But I decided to focus very strongly on the educational side because that's where I come from. Those are my own roots, and you need to know them. And yes, I went through it as a parent as well. These are my 3 children. They live in Germany. The youngest one, Nora, you can see she is not near German. We adopted her as a 4-week-old baby instead of having a 3rd child on our own. How she makes it as a Brazilian girl in Germany, I don't know. But she lives there. And we Skype quite a bit off. The human body insists to walk on 2 legs, which means belonging to a group of people, preferably to many groups of different people, and developing your uniqueness all the way. Unfortunately, the school system does not develop uniqueness a lot because it's not their job. They are developed to teach common standards. Of course, nothing else. So here's where the parents come in. And that's why what I'm going to tell you is so important, because these tools help you also interact with parents, especially if parents want to give you the responsibility for developing their children, which is never going to work, ever. It's tried very hard every day, but it's never going to work for 1,500 reasons you're very familiar with. So, 2 legs, that's what we do. We help the other leg, developing uniqueness. So to help you to be on the other side of the game in full professional unfolding. So they can walk on 2 legs. No question, we hunger for top talent. I just read a book, Why America is Falling Behind. It's who we used to be, the title of the book. So the public media are very aware of it, but helpless like nobody else. Yes, our school system is behind. Yes, Finland is on top internationally. That's great statistics, but so? Does it make anything better? I don't know. So anyway, the game is on internationally, not only in America. But here in your classroom, that's where you can play it. And that makes a big difference. Absolutely, the lonely genius is outdated completely. But experts who collaborate, every new invention is a team effort. Nobody invents things alone anymore because it's too slow. So collaboration, belonging to somebody, or being able to build relationships with children is absolutely necessary. They need to feel comfortable with who they are. The more they do that, the easier it is to connect. If it's not going to happen, it shows up as well. These are phone calls we have almost every day. And you can read this slide, so I don't need to read it to you. But at age 5, you recognize math patterns. Way too early. Conventional wisdom as a foundation. Then, of course, then he tried very hard to get straight A's without trying too hard. So he's the highly intelligent troublemaker. He gets all the labels in the world, the lazy troublemaker. All of a sudden, he's very lonely. Connection missing. And then he dumbs himself down to be accepted. And today, he battles depression, teenage depression. Because he doesn't know who he is anymore. That's what's in stake. You see, as teachers, we have a new responsibility, which is actually easier on the human side. Once you know what to look for and how to handle it. Because giftedness, I like Linda Silverman's opening yesterday. Did you hear all the opening address? When she said giftedness is in your heart, it was music to my soul. It's not in the brain. It's in the whole body. It is a heart development. Not just lesson plans and super sophisticated downloads from websites. Or very creative video games. That's all good stuff. But only one leg. And the other leg is behavior. That's what's in stake, if it is not developed. And then we have a whole catalog after 10 years being full-time in business. And we collect all the labels, of course. Yes, there is ADD, but 95% is misdiagnosed or self-diagnosed. So all these labels show up as misdirected intelligence. Because the original individual intelligence cannot be fully expressed. That's when the body shows these kind of symptoms. Because the body never lies. It screams for help. It does not scream, please shut down my symptoms. But find the root cause for what it is. And as we go with this, the magic is the body never lies. If there's sensitivity, which is misdiagnosed as allergy, guess what? It means something. So the flip side of the same coin is suppressed intelligence. And if you look for signs of genius, I put all 5 of them on your handout as well. Of course, number 1 is intelligence, but intelligence on a big scale. Beyond IQ. Like I said, we test 12 qualities in the meantime. How many of you know Howard Gardner, multiple intelligences? Yeah. He defines 8 in the meantime. And funny enough, until 2006, he added 1 per year. Because he got so much resistance from different areas of psychology that he only added 1 at a time. We had jumped a little bit ahead and added 4, so we have a total of 12. Go to our website, find out what it is. Number 2, the curiosity behind it, of course. Curiosity outside the school system, not only limited to video games. That's a strong indication for hidden intelligence. Intensity is number 2. If they want something, they want it now. They do not hold back. They're not nice and polite. They're direct. And that's frequently trained out of them. It's a beautiful gift to have. Unless it's misguided, then it leads straight to the criminal world, to make it very short and sweet. They can be excellent gang leaders, unless it's misdirected. So if it's directed in the right way, can be the most productive member of society. That's a huge responsibility to develop these kind of children, especially highly gifted, bright children. The passion is to strive for deeper meaning and purpose. Recently we had a conversation that we evaluated a 6-year-old in our office, and then he was quiet for a moment, and then he said, "Mom, why do people have to die?" And Mom was quiet. I didn't say anything. Second question, "Mom, why do we never talk about that?" 6 years. Expect this beyond any age barrier. If there's open space to ask these meaningful, deep questions about life and death, they come up with it because they feel it in their hearts. They're accelerating their development, as we heard yesterday. Sensitivity. Yes, the senses are wide open. Please cut out the label for my t-shirt. Mom, I cannot wear these socks today. It's impossible. They itch me. The senses are wide open. Oh, it's too light here. It's too much light in this room. My eyes are irritated. Or it's too loud. Any loud noises. Can it be in a stadium with thousands of people? I freak out. Sensitivity. So last one is specialty, of course. Every child is a specialist. The more we find out what this specialty really is, the easier the child behaves. One example, one of our kids, 10 years old, he loves to go to Costco and buy big bottles of shampoo. Then he buys little plastic bottles and nice customized labels. Then he goes to the health food store and buys a fragrance like lavender, citrus, and mixes them. Then he puts together his own recipe, puts the labels, and sells them door to door with 150% profit. This boy is a natural businessman. He failed in school miserably until he found out what his specialty is. Intelligence number 10, and have purpose. He is intelligent in business already at age 10. Now English and math make sense. He's jumped out right to a straight A student in a few months. Now he got it, why he needs school.
So we need to develop that intrinsic motivation.
Totally. That's the only thing that works. And the more you can develop it, the easier your daily life is. And that's what the teacher coach is about. To stimulate intrinsic motivation in any age group. And then last, charisma, of course, purpose, direction, and passion. They want to do this. The flip side of the same coin looks not pretty, but tells you a story. The ABCDP of the flip side of genius: addiction, boredom, confusion, distraction, passivity. And probably you know all of them one way or another. It does not help to fight these symptoms. You cannot win this battle. The only thing helps is to flip the coin and develop the strength. Because that's the alarm, the cry of this person's body. Do something with the other side of my coin. Okay, only parents and you detect these early childhood talents. That's what makes you also unique in your position. And then it's time to take action. This was a long introduction to the topic, because you came here for the teacher coach. So, in order to avoid all this negativity, all this potential suicidal behavior, that's what's in stake. Sometimes I feel I'm in the teenage suicide prevention business. That's how serious it is. You focus laser sharp how to develop unique talents in my child and in my students. That's the first. The children cannot verbalize them yet. They feel them very strongly, but they don't know what it is, especially if they're outside the school system. But you get to know them more, and then together with parents, you might be able to figure it out. And then create unique ways that only the parents and you can do that together. Because to do this with a classroom full of people is absolutely impossible. But the parents know more, and you can call them to action. I promote every parent that comes into our lectures immediately to be a CEO, a Chief Education Officer, and take charge. That's their job. And you can be a powerful team player in that, but they are in charge. They cannot drop off their child and just pick him up after school. That's not good enough. New ways to nurture these gifts. Absolutely, you will learn a few today. And new conversation with students and parents, which means strength-based conversations. After all these battles going on, misbehavior in classroom, so tell me what you're really good at. Really. I don't even know. That's when you know you hit home. When you don't play the behavior challenge and what the word I'm looking for, provocative game. You step out of it and flip the coin. If you need to carry a coin in your pocket for a while to remind you, That's what you want to do. Focusing on the other side, doing the unexpected, not the reactive, the proactive part. And then invite other professionals to collaborate with whoever is needed. Can be a trainer, can be a coach, can be a tennis coach, whoever is the specialty person. And then include the whole body approach to learning. We just started with crosswalk. There's much more to that. To open the brains so they can actually learn. Okay? A very important part of our coaching is brain is not only brain-based, coaching is body-based. We do a lot of exercises to open the nervous system first. Not exercise for the body like sports. We do exercises for the nervous system. Okay, so professional coaching tools. That's what they do for you. Trust and confidence in your child. Wouldn't that be nice? How to do that? These coaching tools I'm about to tell you, and you will experience them, is exactly in this direction. How to build trust in an environment that seems not doing it at all. You can do this. Deeper conversations, preventing conflicts, not suffering from conflicts, being on the proactive side instead of reacting to them. Staying connected through challenges. If your child goes through a severe separation in the family, whatever is going on, severe emotional drama, you can walk them through this by asking them specific questions about that. That's what the nature of coaching is about. Not giving advice. That's the cardinal sin in coaching. You never give advice.
What's the last one say?
The last one, be respected as a lifetime trusted advisor.
Well, doesn't an advisor give advice?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Advisor asks questions. You will be an advisor in their eyes, but in reality you never give advice. Okay? Very good distinction. So, you learn a model for coaching, and you will see what that is. I show you the whole picture, even though we cannot train. We train only a little bit personal experience with this, but I show you the whole picture first, what the profession of coaching is about. Explain the personal shifts they need to adopt, which means you need to change your own behavior a little bit. Not giving advice, for example, is one of them. And then how to adopt the coach approach as a teacher, and then coaching skills with children and parents, just applying them, practicing, and watch what happens. So here's how it works. Being a teacher coach requires an intention. The intention is, for example, I want this conversation to be the most successful possible. Even if the waves go high, emotional conflicts are all over the place. Then you build a relationship first, otherwise the person is not coachable. If you talk to somebody who doesn't listen, it's a waste of your time. How do you generate an environment that people are really receptive to what you have to say? That's your first intention before you say anything. Otherwise, you waste your time, and you waste your words, and you waste your efforts. That's a radical shift in approach. And the last one, the only thing you have is words. Choose them carefully, because they make an impact. The less you say, the more impact you have.
Less is more.
Mm-hmm. So, and that all together builds trust. That's how you do it, actually. You build a relationship, you have an intention. I am here to build trust with you. I'm here to connect with you. Not to reject you, not to punish you. I'm here to connect with you. And that sometimes takes a lot of emotional maturity to do that. But that's where you want to go. So, and then you create what we call in coaching a coachable moment, which means somebody's actually willing to open and to listen. And this is so crucial to do in the beginning, otherwise you don't go anywhere. You would default back to the old giving advice and pushing my advice on you. And they just resist you. They even might say, yes, yes, yes. Oh, I like you so much, but don't even hear what you say. That's what I call a waste of time. Would it save your time if you find a technique to do that? I think it would. Okay, let's do it. So this is a coaching conversation. Like I said, we don't go through the whole thing. I didn't put it in your handout to not confuse you, but that's the foundation of professional coaching. You start with an intention. So what would be the best outcome of our conversation? Nobody asked this question in the beginning. What would you like to get out of this conversation with me? Nobody asks this question in normal life. In survival mode, you don't ask these questions. You set an intention. You set an intention. One thing is, you probably know already, but On a very deep linguistic level, whoever asks the question leads the conversation. You trigger the other person's brain what to think next by asking a question. Statements, narratives don't do that job. Questions do that. As coaches, we are paid to ask questions. Consultants are paid for answers. We are paid for questions. Because you stimulate the brain. The underlying principle is we trust every person has all the answers they need in the moment, not forever. But it's subconscious. Now, and our job as teacher coaches is to dig them up. What is it? You know the answer in yourself. That's what we go for. So, the current reality and the desired outcome, that's the gap. What do you like to accomplish? You define the end. If you know Stephen Covey, you might remember, begin with the end in mind. That's what you actually do. What should happen in the next 10 minutes? Your first question. Oh, I don't know. Well, think about it. My time with you right now is precious. I put out 10 minutes from my lunchtime to sit down with you. What would you like to accomplish in the next 10 minutes? That engages their brain. That's what you want. Not your brain. Your brain is active already. So, and then you explore options. So what can you do about this conflict? Okay? Maybe you punch somebody in the face and you got sent to the principal's office. Just happened last week. The guy was sent almost every day because he jumped on people who did a certain reaction. And we found out the little boy is not aggressive. He is upset whenever somebody else is bullied in the class. Because he has a high sensitivity to social injustice. He just jumps at this person, whoever that is. Doesn't care if the other boy is stronger or not. That's why we came in trouble with violence. There was no violence at all. Once we figured that out, the parents took him back. We had a conference with the principal actually together. He became a specialist for bullying in the whole elementary school. Because he had the social sensitivity to figure out what that actually means. The punching in the face is just the end result. So we listen, then exploring options. What can you do? Then you agree on an action, what should be done, what you can do actually, and you like to do. Then you ask for obstacles, what's in your way. Oh, I'm so embarrassed my parents find out. Okay, let's call them right away. No, we can't do that. Well, we can. Let's have them on a conference call. I'm with you. You would be surprised how quickly these things disappear. And then let your client, your child, summarize at the end. So what did you learn today in these last 10 minutes? And then you hear what they take away, not what you think they take away. So that's a professional coaching. Today, we need 5 skills to do that. I will introduce you to the first one. The first is deep listening. The second one is effective questioning. If you think this is simple, yes, it is. It's what I call common sense. But the new thing is it's all behavior-based. This is a model for a coaching conversation. And you will see the difference in the heartbeat. You coach them through the gap. So, are you ready for this? No advice, only questions and deep listening. That's all you need. Are you ready for the first coaching experience? Let's role play it. Okay, please find a partner in this room and decide who is A and B. Let's do that first. I leave this slide up. Okay? Everybody has a partner? A and B? Decide who is A. Please, A, raise your hands. Good. B is the coach first. And A, you are the annoying parent. Okay? You play a role. And the coach only responds with question. No advice.
It's basically being an attorney.
That's different. No negotiations. So the point is you ask specifically, so what, simulate a parent-teacher conversation, okay? And then you ask the parent, what do you like to accomplish in this conversation? And then you go only with questions. And watch what happens. Don't define yourself, don't fight back, no nothing. Just asking question and listen. Because your listening defines your next question. Ready? Let's go. Coach, how did you feel as a coach, teacher coach, first time? How was it for you?
As a teacher coach, well, I noticed, I had a big aha moment that when I was anticipating you stopping our time, I kind of rushed in really quick. when would you like to meet? And once you hit that question, it's hard to continue the probing questions. Because you kind of rush the end, but there would have been so many other questions.
Good
that would have
point.
come to mind before I said, when would you like to meet? Or can we sit down and resolve this in the classroom?
Wonderful.
It seemed like you just jumped to the end. It was harder to backtrack.
So you had many more questions already in store.
I had a lot but I was
Excellent.
anticipating you ending the topic.
Okay, you are highly
So it
sensitive.
was harder to come back.
Thank you. Yes.
I noticed that it deflates the situation
Yes.
immediately.
Yes. Give us an example. Because I heard both of you giggling quite a lot. It was so good.
Ridiculous,
I'm
because
sorry.
I think I was giving her a situation
So
I
good.
probably had this morning with the parent, but they see that I'm actually listening. Well, what do you want to have happen? And then, just asking clarifying questions so I'm understanding her, and she's not having to speak over me. It's not like she's speaking with like Verizon Wireless where they just are going to tell you.
Exactly.
So a customer service rep is really actually listening.
Deflating the
That works
situation.
in marriages too, yeah?
Yes. We don't go there today. It's a different lecture, okay? It works like a charm, especially if you're together with a person for a long time in intimate living. You get so much used to each other's sentences. You finish each other's sentences. That's when coaching is valuable. Oh my gosh. Yes.
I'm going to say I was having a difficult time being equal to her because I came out like slamming her, and I just couldn't anymore.
And how did you handle that?
Well,
Her as an
I
upset.
just deflated by asking questions. That's not an easy thing for me. I mean, I would probably be giving advice right away. This is what you should do, but it totally turned it around. And she's no longer angry at me now.
Wonderful. Yes, please.
I think by listening, you get to know more and more about the parent that you're talking to.
So good.
And the things that you would probably never know within a classroom, but you learn by just a 5-minute conversation, by letting them talk and listen to what they have to say, and then asking questions to bring out another solution.
So good. And you touch a very deep point of coaching. Listening, hear me out, is the most effective way to build trust to a person. And it looks so passive. You seem not to do anything. You just listen, and it just flows out of the person. Thank you. You were next.
I don't know if it's cultural, but I'm used to stating almost everything into a question.
Ah,
It comes very natural to me.
you're ready for level 2. Did you ever check if all the questions are open-ended?
Yeah, I'm great at that.
Perfect.
But usually, teaching, we're often on the defense. And you talk about the brain, when you're in fight and flight mode, you're not as relaxed and calm, going, so what would you like to? Usually they come at you, you don't know they're coming.
Yes.
Your brain and the chemistry is different.
So true.
How do you coach the coach out of that?
Funk.
Yeah, because, when you're on the defense, it's either fight or flight. And, constantly we're on the defense. We're defending our teaching, we're defending our grades, we're defending our defending, and,
So good.
we're very defensive.
Brilliant. You open a huge thing here, and I thank you for doing this. That's what it takes to step up from being a teacher to being a teacher coach. It's a whole behavior change in you, because all these habits we have as teachers are outdated, like Windows 97. They work, of course, in certain environments you will always be a teacher, that's not the point. But to add this behavior piece we never learned in teacher training ever, huge. It's a whole new life as a teacher. I mean, first-hand experience. I changed my teaching completely after I got in touch with coaching. And it's so much more effective and so much more fun. Deflating this challenging situation, I like how you put it in the words. Thank you. Who's next? You're second, you're first? No, go ahead. You had so much fun with each other, I saw it.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it, and it seemed very useful. My concern would be, how do you protect against possibly the parent just sort of, if you're asking questions like, well, this is what I want, and the parent responds, this is what I want to see this, this, and this. And as an administrator or as a teacher, you're like, well, that's deep down, you're thinking, that's not the direction I want to see it go. But I keep posing these questions, and they're just telling me.
Yeah. You know what you do in this situation? Just quick jumping in without training you as a former teacher coach. What else do you want? Make the list longer. Yeah. You do not attack. Never. Never ever again. You throw it out of them. then at the end of the list, you find what they really want.
It usually comes back on them. It's a reflection on them.
Yes.
Every behavior that incites you and methinks you doth protest too much, you know, Hamlet, the more you protest about something, it's because it's you.
Totally.
It's you.
You had an experience you want to share as a
Well,
teacher coach.
I just think that when you ask the questions, it's making them really clarify why they're mad, and sometimes they don't even know why they're sitting there.
Exactly.
Because you start asking questions and then they're almost confused because they're not really sure what it is.
Well put. Happens in each single coaching conversation. Thank you. Great experience. You were next?
I think that in a large percentage of the situations you're in, the person that you're talking to already has the answer themselves. And the quicker you can ask questions and draw that out, and the less time you've wasted, you know, beating around the bush with your own ideas.
Maybe they're
about
looking
what's
for
going on.
validation or something.
That's the core, right there. And the more you have this conversation, the more you experience this. The child or parent has all the answers. Don't make it up for them. You waste your time. Thank you. Brilliant. What you just said is the key, okay? You had this conversation with the student already. You went until you couldn't go any further anymore. And by the way, now as a teacher coach, you can go much further. I wonder what makes you work so hard and never turn in your work in my class. Then you wonder what kind of response you get. Because they are ready to defend against you.
Yeah.
That's why students are trained.
And ask them, why do they
Yeah.
wait till I have to call your parent?
Yeah, and that's the big thing. Please never ask why questions. Now we go to level 2. Because why leads to endless explanations.
Okay.
You get them right back in their brain in defensiveness. That's what we want to get them out of. So these are your coaching questions. Open-ended questions begin with this. Never why. Do you see why?
So if she calls the parent, what would be the question? Because the parent's not expecting her to call.
What makes it so difficult for your client, for your child to succeed? I'm really curious to find out because I'm at the end with my rope. I'm at the end of my rope as a teacher. I need your help because I'm curious. I want this child to succeed. What are the top 5 reasons from your side, which I have no clue about? You get a whole different parent-teacher
Now
experience.
you're putting them on the defense.
Of course. No, I'm curious. Maybe I'm too aggressive right now because I'm so passionate. But the point is, I'm really sincerely curious what makes this child tick. Okay? And I'm at the end of the teacher. I need you as parents. That makes sense? Okay, so right now you're not a teacher anymore, you're a teacher coach. How about that? That was a crash course. No, there's much more to that picture, of course. Okay? Listening. Listening is the second key component, not just the smart questions. And here's why. I read these sentences in different ways. Number 1, I did not delete the file on your hard drive last night. I did not delete the file on your hard drive last night. I did not delete the file on your hard drive last night. I did not delete the file on your hard drive last night. I did not delete the file on your hard drive last night. Did you hear the difference?
But you've got only 2 words that are bolded.
That's right, for the first version.
Okay, because I was supposed to say, as a reader, when it's bolded, that tells you how to read it.
Right. But now I offended my own rule here. Did you hear the difference? Identical words, 5 totally different meanings. That's what you need to get as a teacher coach. Otherwise, you're lost. Okay? That's why we do training. To train this thing over and over again. And then add the other coaching tools as well, of course. And here's why this is such a big deal, the listening. Because, how many of you speak Chinese? Nobody. I made it easy. I translated this Chinese symbol for listening. And all these arrows mean something. What do you see? Yeah? That all means listening. Well, do you see the wisdom in this?
It takes more than one body part.
Yeah. Listening is king. It's the most important thing you can do. The king of all senses. For us, it's not in Western society. We'll tell you why. Ear, of course, you need that. 10 a maximum, the first 2-digit number. 1 a minimum, you hear everything, the whole spectrum. I of focus, you need to really focus on listening, nothing else. Not wait what the response is going to be until the person finally stops to talk. That's not listening. And then heart, you need to listen with your heart too.
But isn't their culture changing too?
I don't go there right now because it's far too big of a question. The point is, listening is a big deal in China because Chinese is a tonal language. The same sound in a higher frequency means something entirely different. Chinese babies, infants, need to listen what kind of sound water makes, for example, when it flows around a rock or across a little piece of wood. Different sounds. If they don't learn to listen to this intensity, they cannot learn the language. For all the Eastern culture that seem to be so quiet people, most of them are, they are highly trained to listen. We are trained to talk. We are poor listeners to this level. And that's what the major challenge is in becoming a teacher coach. To listen for these subtleties, for the nuances, for the emotion, underneath the loud noise, what's going on in the person's heart. When you touch down here, you have a winner. Does that make sense? So one more golden rule I want to give you, which is never ever go with the first story you hear. It's never the real story. Okay? That's why probing questions, coaching questions are so crucial to get quickly to the real story. That's the real shortcut. Yeah, I pulled out all these questions already for you because I don't want to go over time. The coaching, we did that already. Okay, I'd like to hear back from you in 3 words what you take away. Before I do that, you all got this flyer. This one has a double function. It also shows you not only the lesson for today, because we had to do some promotion, because that was not in the program. It also shows you an invitation for a webinar about becoming a teacher coach. Please discuss it with your principal, whoever has the purse strings. We have been doing it with schools, teachers signing up for this webinar, and the behavior in classroom changes immediately. Classroom management improves significantly in only 6 weeks. So if this interests you, okay, please do the next step and take extra cards for whoever is interested. So, thank you.